Liquor Talk. Another new episode starts now. Welcome everybody to another edition of Liquor Talk. Welcome to the men's round for this month. My dog Juggy joined me this. It's just me and him chopping it up. He see he on the Crown Royal, and I'm on some tequila for this men's round for the month of April. Juggy, how you doing today?
Man, blessed and highly favored. You know I'm always ready to chop it up for the men's only round. So much interesting, good and bad things going on in the world. We definitely got to cover some of it.
Yes, we definitely got to cover some of it because this world has just been crazy. Shit been flipped upside down. China done came out of woodwork swinging. I'm like, man. But first and foremost, I do want to say rest in peace to former LSU receiver Kyron Lacy. He got killed himself when he was, in the middle of a police chase. And it's like he was so young. I'm like, he had his whole life ahead of him, man. That's just really
Yeah,
sad. So thoughts and prayers go to his family. And I gotta say this to my young athletes: surround yourself with the right people, and also get help for mental health reasons.
yeah. You got to have people in your corner. And I don't know all the details about his. Well, they called it a suicide. That's another thing, is they could be calling it that, and there's possible that something else is going on that we don't, know about or they won't release right now. But if it is true that he took his own life, I can't imagine how his parents, if he had any siblings, I can't imagine how his immediate family might feel about that. I think he was projected to go pretty high in the upcoming draft. Um, in the NFL draft. So he's one of those few chosen ones, so to speak, that got to that level of athletics. Um, every life is valuable. Every life means something. Now, we all go through a hard time. Some of us worse than others, but we have to get back to valuing life.
Yes.
There is a value to human life, and there's just so many people passing away, dying, murder, and other things, man. I mean, we have to instill that in ourselves and in the people around us. But go ahead. I don't want to make it too
Yes.
somber.
No, it's all good. No, you're right on the money about that. We definitely have to value life, and also we definitely gotta value our circles and not surround and not put ourselves in situations that might cause us to have to end our life because of the threat of you losing your career and stuff.
Exactly. It's not worth it. He felt like,
Exactly.
I think he was on the run from the police, right? Like there was some type of police chase or something like that. And let's be honest, as black men, like, you don't know what will happen when you get pulled over by the police.
That
You
is
don't
so
know.
true.
You don't know what type of mood they're going to be in. You don't know if they signed up for the police force to hunt black people. You don't know that, you know. And I understand that there's layers of discrimination for other non-white ethnicities, but you have to understand that the police started to hunt slaves, chattel slaves, and in some many ways it has evolved past that. And I'm grateful for the service of police officers who do work in the community. That's a very hard job, very, very hard job. At the same time, we have to hold police officers accountable who are brutalized, you know, American citizens in general, but disproportionately black people. And I'm sure in my mind that when that young man killed himself, right, that that's what was going through his head. He's like, they're going to kill me when they catch up with me. I'm not going to have a chance to go to jail, to go before court. They're going to lay me up.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't know for sure because he's not here anymore. But I truly feel like that's a part of maybe why he made his decision. Police brutality is very real, so, I got pulled over recently, and thankfully the cop was kind and gracious, and I appreciate that to the fullest, obviously. But every cop ain't like that, you know? Every cop ain't like that.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I remember last year when I got pulled over. Luckily, I got pulled over by a nice cop as well. They was just like it was something minor, like you just got to move over from emergency vehicle. But you never know what kind of cop that they is coming. So it's like we do have that fear. So not justifying to say that's why you ran, but that does play a factor, and you definitely hit the nail
Absolutely.
on the head because also it's like people like us, something happened to us, the cop might just get a slap on the wrist for all we know.
Yeah, go on paid leave, paid administrative leave while they go to court, and then perhaps the court will dole out justice properly, or maybe they'll say not guilty. I'll never forget being in the car with one of my close friends, um, and we were all in college, and I think it was the Trayvon Martin case, and we were listening to the radio in the car, listening for that verdict, and they said not guilty. The jury said not guilty, and I remember my close friend. I mean, we were tight like brothers. He flipped out. He was inconsolable, and it just
Man,
felt like somebody stabbed you, and the wound isn't going to close up, and it's just continual pain because it was just like, how can this person not be guilty? You know, and you know, we have to continue to fight for justice, and people are tired, man. People work
yeah.
to the bone. They have so many things to worry about. It's like worrying about that is just like it's too much. And I think it was too much for that young man, and it hurts, man. Like, and even if he wasn't going to the NFL, maybe he wanted to be an engineer, maybe he wanted to be a doctor, maybe he wanted to become a plumber, electrician, whatever it could have been. It's still the life matters. The life
Yes.
matters.
Yes, the life matters, and also going back to the Trayvon Martin, I remember being in college, and me and some of my friends, I was at a friend house, we were watching the verdict. We were just pissed, man. We didn't know what to say. And it's like I remember calling one of my family members that night, and they were like, "Yeah, I knew they were what they were going to do," and I was just like, "This is just sickening." And you got all these cases with these young men, young black men, and because I know I was reading about the Carmelo Anthony situation, and I'm like, it's just too much. It's just we getting tired of this. It's like, and then a young man defended himself, and now white folks get mad because he's getting bail. I'm like, come on now, what is wrong with y'all?
We live,
Like,
we,
it's
we
just
live
getting
in
to be too much, man.
we live in a society of paradoxes, right? Let's say I want to go to the store, I want to buy this shirt. It's made in China, right? It's made in China, so that means that for me to get it at a low price that I can afford, somebody had to create the shirt for almost nothing somewhere, right? In order for the police to get money, they have to fulfill quotas, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they protect them to insulate themselves. Unfortunately, that installation even takes place when justice is not rendered. So, we live in a society of paradoxes. Racism doesn't make any sense, and yet it rules the day with the current political regime. We could go on a long list of
Yeah.
paradoxes.
It is definitely a lot of paradoxes to go down because it's like now we got somebody in office that's just enabling them. So I'm like, my goodness. So it's just I'm thinking 2028 can't get here fast enough, man, because this is just
Hey,
crazy.
I'm political, so you know I know black people are resting, especially black women. After all the work they did late last year to try to get Kamala across the finish line and everything, and I honor that work. But midterms are next year,
Yeah.
and with the way things are going, Vic, I'm sure you've seen some of you must have seen some of these headlines, bro. The way things are going, man. Midterms, it might be some big moves.
Yeah.
So should be no elected official should not be comfortable at this time. Shouldn't be comfortable.
No, you elected officials need to go ahead and start packing up because it's like it's about the one thing we need the how do I say this? I know we need the other urban areas not to show up because we know the urban areas they're gonna show up. We know the big cities are gonna show up. What we need is these other people to show up and make their voices heard.
Absolutely. And going back to the national election, I know we covered this, first couple months of the year, but just to sort of reiterate, like, we're in Florida. You know what I'm saying? We're Florida boys, and the Cubans in Miami, they voted disproportionately for Trump because they wanted to be white. They thought they're white. You know what I'm
They
saying?
fucked
Some of
around and
them look
found
just as
out,
black
didn't
people
they?
as me, bro. And like, you know, it just. I was looking at statistics and the election results broken down by demographics, by race, by how much you make, and hey, this in Godfrey's words, in his absence, in Godfrey's words, America's karma. America had it coming. They never gave reparations. They never made black people whole. In my opinion, it won't be right until they do by black people. And if they haven't done right by black people, they surely haven't done right by Native Americans. So until they do right, I don't think it's gonna go right, bro. I don't think it's
It's
gonna go
definitely
right.
not gonna go right. And and us black folks, we doing the work, but we sitting here chilling and just watching it because I'm like, hey, we warned y'all, but y'all didn't want to listen.
Yeah, I was on TikTok and they had like a national Million Man March. I wonder where they got that from. But they had like a big Million Man March across the country or whatever. And there's black people getting up on TikTok, and then a voice from above is like, "Sit your black ass
Oh,
down."
bro, I saw that and I fell out. I'm like, you know what? I saw that and I was like, you know what? I fell out because it's like, of course, you shouldn't need your ancestors to tell you to sit your ass down. But hey, the
It's
shoe
funny
fits.
because a lot of the content creators that got pushed through this algorithm, they talk bad about black people. They talk bad about Kamala. They talk bad about all this different stuff. Now they're having regrets. Now they're asking black people, why are we out there helping them protest? Excuse me, black men, 87
Mm-hmm.
percentile, black women, 90 percentile. We we understood the assignment, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So don't come to us. Go to your people. Go to your people that feel like their whiteness or their adjacency to whiteness was more important than their well-being.
Hell
More
yeah.
important.
Don't Yeah, please don't bring us into a conversation because we did our part. Y'all the one that dropped the ball.
Bro, it's the funniest thing because as we move along, and I'm sure you saw the headlines about the deportations.
Yeah, I saw that.
Who they deporting, bro?
They ain't deporting black people. And I saw the one where the guy they deported the wrong person and refused to go get him. I'm like, ain't this some shit? Hell, y'all deport the wrong person and y'all are refusing to go get the man.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, man. Chickens are coming home to roost, bro. And honestly, the coalition building, the togetherness that they said existed, it didn't exist. It didn't exist.
It
And
really didn't.
we have to be honest with ourselves about that. It is not black people's job to say this country. It's certainly not black women's job to say this country. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The time of the black man has come. It's time for us to take leadership roles. It's time for us to take up the mantle. But arrest season is in order because we've been dealing with it since we got here. Excuse me, since we were prisoners of war over here. You
Pretty
know,
much.
so it's just. And then people working 2 or 3 jobs, man. We go down the list, bro. I could go there.
Bruh.
Go ahead.
It really is. It's sad, and then I see the TikToks of people, of black people living their best life in other countries, and they're paying half as what we paying over here. I'm like, shit. I'm like in my head. I'm like, what jobs y'all need, man? Because this is getting tiring. But
Yeah, bro.
you
Like
know,
they threw it in my YouTube algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Like the Ghanaian expats, the South African expats. Some people going to Zimbabwe. People going all over the continent. Some people going to France. Some of these other European countries. They find in little areas. You know what I'm saying? Italy and stuff like that. They finding peace, organic, real food. Not just saying we're organic to make money, but actual, real, organic food, losing weight, not having to worry about working to death, having a work life balance, which for most of us doesn't exist.
that's true.
Um, like I know, I think it's in, uh, is it Norway or Switzerland, where the moms get 2 years of maternity leave,
Damn, 2 years of maternity leave.
and the days get like a year and a half or something like that.
God damn.
Think
Shit.
about that, bro.
That
Think about
is
how different the society is here.
that is
You might
crazy.
get, you're lucky if you have health benefits, and if you do, if they're going to pay for it and it's not out of pocket and haven't excluded that, it's just people tired, bro.
You can say that again because we all tired at this point, man. I think that's just an understatement. People being tired is an understatement, bro. We tired, but hang in there, y'all. Hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Liquor Talk. Once again, the more you drink, the better we sound. Shout out to all the networks we're on. Shout out to the MBG Podcast Network. Also, shout out to the Podmatch Podcast Network. On a lighter note, March Madness happened. Congratulations to them Florida Gators on bringing the title back to Florida. And also congratulations to the Connecticut Huskies on winning the title back on the women's side. And also congratulations to all the ladies that were drafted into the WNBA. Big congratulations, Juggy. I know you
Hey,
want. I know you got some feelings about
oh,
that.
you know this my thing, boy. Let's get to it. Yo, man. First of all, national championship, Don Staley. She didn't win, but listen,
Yeah,
a legend in the making. She was a player coach. She's in the Hall of Fame. Gino Ariemo, the coach for UConn Huskies,
that
women's
man is the
basketball,
fucking goat. That man might be the goat, man.
12 championships, bro.
Bruh,
12
12
championships.
championships.
And you got to think about this too, right? There's been more number one picks out of the UConn women's basketball team than any other program in the country since the WNBA has been in existence. I think it's like 13 or 14. You got Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi. Both of those are Hall of Famers, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. There's a lot more than that. I'm not thinking about them off the top of my head, but Paige Beckers going to the Dallas Wangs.
Man,
Hey,
Dallas,
making some
yeah,
noise like,
Dallas
even for
looking nice. Yeah,
my Atlanta Dreamer, we drafted Tahina Pau in the second round. She played at South Carolina where Don Staley is. So people are really excited about that. This is going to be a big year for the WNBA because they're expanding. They got a new franchise, Golden State Valkyries, over there
yeah,
with the match the Golden State Warriors out there in the Bay Area. And next year is the Toronto Tempo. So another
yeah.
expansion team. So I really think the WNBA has an opportunity. I know you probably heard the headlines, so let's address it. I know they're going to send questions to you, Vic. Paige Beckers, number one overall draft pick in 2025 WNBA draft. She signed a rookie contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she signed a deal with Unrivaled. So for those who don't know, Unrivaled like a 3-on-3 women's basketball league created by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, who are current WNBA All-Stars in the league. They created a league, and the salary that she gets more in 1 year from that 3-on-3 league that had its first season is more than her first 4 years in the WNBA.
Damn,
And so
that's
you have
crazy.
that's crazy. And so what you have is an issue where you have all of this talent and these girls have these NILs and the endorsements and things like that. But the WNBA needs to find a way to do much better marketing, fire everybody in the marketing department. You need to find
Mm-hmm.
a way to market better and to like the Caitlin Clarks and the Camila Cardosos and all these other top women's basketball players. They need to find a way to monetize that to get the viewership up even higher so that they can pay more and that the league becomes profitable. A reminder that the NBA is old now, right? It's been around for a long time. But when the
Mm-hmm.
NBA first came out, the NBA was not profitable.
That's
The
true.
NBA was not a profitable league. So a lot of people, oh, they don't make no money. They're in the red. They're on welfare. The NBA was not profitable at first. It was not
Mm-hmm.
profitable. In the 80s when you had Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, that rivalry,
Bird and
excuse me,
Magic, yeah. Magic
Bird and Magic,
Johnson and
excuse me,
the
and Magic
Celtics and
Johnson and
Lakers.
Larry Bird, that rivalry, which was the precursor to the Michael Jordan era, that rivalry and the viewership it created, like TNT and like television, is what made the NBA that we see today. So
Yeah.
now that the WNBA is getting like the top talent every year, it's the most competitive of all the leagues across the world. It's time to monetize. It's coming up. And I am so excited for the season, man. Can you imagine some of these ladies that got drafted playing against each other, going head to head? Like it's going
Yeah.
to be good. It is going to be
It
good.
is. It's going to be good. And also, speaking of profitability, do you think we might need to have some more teams? Because I remember I saw clip on TikTok. They talked about the teams that they had back in the day that they all folded. I mean, you had the Houston Comets, the greatest dynasty in WNBA history. They folded. Miami had a team that folded. Cleveland had a team. Orlando had a team. Detroit had a team that folded after they moved to Tulsa. So I'm thinking all these damn cities that had teams. I'm like, well, WNBA, y'all need to get on the
So
ball with this expansion
that,
because I heard Portland and Cleveland gonna get teams in the future.
yeah, so I mean, you definitely have to scale properly, right? Like you can't do it too fast. And again, Golden State Valkyries this year, Toronto Temple next year. By the way, side note, Toronto Temple, Serena Williams is in the ownership group. Petty much. Looking at you, Drizzy. But
See what you did there.
yeah. So it's definitely coming up, and the more teams there are, the more revenue they can generate, right? And the more that they have a chance to be profitable. So definitely, Florida needs a team. I'm all the way on that. I'll be all the way on that
No,
as a Atlanta
I
Dream
already
fan.
know.
And then Houston is come on. Houston is like 4 hours big, bro. Like they could probably get two teams in Houston,
Yeah,
honestly.
and I'm just thinking, I'm like, that's a disrespect of the legacy of the legends that played for Houston. That there's not a damn team in Houston. The banner's still hanging in the Toyota Center, but to win the first 4 titles, man, that is special, man.
Like look, like the money that they're bringing in, we're close. WNBA is close. Like there's a lot of politics, and that's the topic for another show. But listen, the WNBA being profitable within the next 2 years, baby. We live.
Hey, I'd be here for it because it's like, because like I said, I was watching I was watching the women's tournament. I saw some competitive games, but I'm just like, can we get? But then the ass whoopings, I'm just like, that just sucked the energy out of you when you watch the ass whoopings. It's just I like to see the competitive games, but I don't know with this NIL stuff, we ain't gonna see no more little schools come up and beat a big school anymore.
For the most part, it is going to be a challenge. But what I will say is like Harmony Turner's from Harvard. She did get drafted in the third round. It's late, but she got drafted. So I think you're going to start seeing schools that you're not used to seeing being powerhouses in the women's basketball for the NCAA. You're going to start seeing that some of these smaller schools are going to start coming up. Like I could think of Iowa State, right? Like they made the tournament, they got bounced in the second round. They got Audie Crooks there now. She had an opportunity to go in a transfer portal. All the athletes, football,
Mm.
basketball, whatever, they hit that transfer portal. she decided to stay. You know what I mean? So there's going to be an opportunity for some of the smaller schools. It takes time. They're going to develop, right? And then they're going to start getting more and more players. Again, the girls that are playing now are influencing the next generation as you get more infrastructure, more teams, more leagues for younger girls, and they're coming up into college and greater technique. There's going to be plenty of opportunity. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's gonna be some more opportunities and stuff. So, look, I'm here for it though. I'm definitely here for it. Shout out to the women's NCAA. They put on a great show here in Tampa. Unfortunately,
Oh,
because you surely had to work, but I was like, hey, it is
I
what
was
it
working too,
is.
bro. It's okay, bro. I had to work too. And, hey, the next time they have it here, we gonna make it. No, believe that. Believe that.
Yes, yes. Speaking of athletes, what do you think of the Anthony Edwards situation, man? Because I know we briefly talked about, we said we gotta talk about this, but I'm just like, you know what? Everybody on social media has an opinion, and then I saw it go down, and I'm just like, on both ends, why are you sleeping with somebody that you want to have a baby with, or you feel this way, like? And why is it okay for a woman in their 40s to be preying on a woman in their 20s? Like, make it make sense.
Um, there's a lot of toxicity, right? I think for me, the greater responsibility lies with the man, right?
Yeah,
And let's be completely 100% honest. You don't want a pregnancy, you should have used protection. Or ball plan B, you have more resources than most other black people, period, other than like the top 1 or 2%. So I don't understand why he did that reckless decision. He has to own that, and no matter whether or not he wanted kids or not, he committed an act that created kids. So you can't shy away from that. I'm not going to give him a pass for being, not being present as a father in some capacity in a child's life, because whether he wanted a child or not, that is his child. I don't know whether it's going to be a boy or girl or whatnot. He can't shy away from that. Um, on the other side, it being a career path, you got to think how bad is society, right? Where women's plan to make money is to prey on, these young athletes. I think it happened to what's the cat that plays in Houston? I can't remember his name right now,
Jalen
but
Green,
yeah, he knocked up some older video
37.
vixen or something like that. I mean, it's the same thing. It happens every year. It's a tired old story. It's really simple, bro. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you don't need to wrap your stuff up, because pregnancy is just one outcome. What about soul ties? What about STIs? I can't even imagine, what must be going
Exactly.
around in these groupie circles and these NBA circles. Man, it's just disgusting. But, they feel like they have enough money that it doesn't matter. Um, so, it just depends on where your moral compass lies. To me, what Edwards did is shrewd. I'm not going to celebrate. I'm never going to celebrate a man not being a father to his child. Like that's the
Yeah,
degradation of men, especially black men. Like you're on that pedestal. It's like you have the resources to be in a child's life. Point blank. Period. I mean, let's take into consideration what's another guy's name who got preyed on? PJ Washington. You know what I'm saying? He
mm-hmm.
got a kid with Brittany Renner. Like, just because he had a kid with Brittany Renner, that didn't mean he was like completely exit from the child's life. Is it something that he wants to do all the time? I'm sure it's not. Parenting is very challenging, right? But like, it's still your child. Your child is
Yeah,
the next generation. Your child is carrying your name, your seed, your DNA, your likeness. Like, just to say that you're not going to be there, like that's trash. And
it
I
is
don't care if that's an
trash.
unpopular opinion. And I get that he didn't want a child and he told her that or whatever. But bro, if you didn't want a kid, guess what? You can have a vasectomy. You can use protection. You can use plan B like spermicide. Like, bro, come on, there's too many things you can use. I'm sure there's natural substances you can use to prevent pregnancy. So there's no effing excuse, bro. Like, I'm not giving Anthony Edwards a pass. I'm not praising him for this. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not praising it because I do find it ironic that there's a plan that he could just pay off the child support like that, and I'm like, I get it. That I find that to be yeah, he literally calculated all, paid that check off. I'm like, bruh, if you gonna do that, then you might as well take custody of the damn kid, man.
You know what's
Cause
funny, bro? You know what's funny is it's definitely a calculated move, right? He say, "I'm gonna do this before I get my supermax."
yeah, yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Um,
He definitely was gonna do that before he got that supermax.
and look, in this country, children are a business transaction, right? Both legal and illegal. I won't get into all those details, but in the context of what he did as a quote unquote business person making a quote unquote business decision, quote unquote, a child is not supposed to be a business decision, right? A
But
child
that's
needs
so
a mother and a
and
father.
father. Mm-hmm.
They need both of those energies. They need both of those different types of correction and nurturing and upbringing and love and correction growing up. Every child needs that. But I think, again, when you have, when we worship money and put that on this pedestal and capitalism on a pedestal or over all these other important things, then you get people like Anthony Edwards, whose lawyers are just like, be a dead, if you can live with being a deadbeat, we'll pay it off up front and you're done.
Yeah. And you're done. And so all the people thinking she gonna get all that money, y'all are mistaken because she only gonna get a fraction of that because you gotta think about taxes, you gotta think about child support themselves. They're gonna get their cut, and then whatever state she filed in, they're gonna get their cut. So she ain't even gonna get the whole million.
It's funny. I remember reading about this briefly and like, I think she tried to go to California to like get a bigger cut
And
of
California
the
sent her
money or
back to
something like that.
Georgia. And California said no, they sent their ass back to Georgia. I found that funny too. I'm like, yeah, that's how
Oh,
you know she was being a gold digger because she knows that California don't play, but California hit it
bro,
with the Uno reverse.
bro, it's sad because this is a child's life. You know what's funny? And we would be remiss, Vic. Um, just a moment of silence for FSU, the people
Yeah,
that passed, the people that got murdered, the people that got shot, the families affected. Um, what if that child grows up and it's an African proverb: the child that is rejected by the village burns the village down.
oh
You
damn.
know, that child is going to grow up, boy or girl, and it's like, oh, my mom doesn't really want me. She wanted a paycheck, and my dad was like, "F you, I paid off your mom, so I don't have anything to do with you." See, you see what happens when everything is about money, Vic?
Yeah.
We're in
Mm-hmm.
a society where we worship the money. And this is what happens. We worship the people who have the most money. But look at the decisions that it makes. Where is the regard for human life?
Yeah.
Why
Where
didn't the
is it?
judge say, yes, you can pay the child support off, but you're also court mandated to spend time with the child? Why
That's
wasn't
true.
that a thing? So I think, there's a lot of money involved naturally. You got really, high powered lawyers, I'm sure, right, that are handling this for him. Um, it's
Yeah.
sad.
It
It's
is
it's
sad.
nothing to celebrate in my opinion.
It's definitely nothing to celebrate. Men that are seeing this do not get that as the blueprint because you know what? Because trust me, as a person who didn't have a father growing up, listen, I think I would much rather value a father's time than the money because you can get the money back. You can make the money. You can make that back. That's not an issue. But where's the time for the memories, the things that you're supposed to learn as a man or from a man, whether you grow up as a man or a woman, because a father is needed in both and for both roles.
And at the end of the day, like, we're trying to rebuild our community. We're trying to rebuild our community, our family nucleus. We don't have the most wealth. We don't. A lot of us don't have houses. Um, this isn't how you build families. This is how you destroy them. So I hope that Anthony Edwards changes his mind about how much time he spends with a child. I understand he's never going to have a workable relationship with the mom, but for the sake of the child.
You know what? What I think he may do? He may mature because he's only like 22, 23 right now. I think he may mature, and then once that child gets older, decide to be a part of that child's life and explain what happened. And we're gonna hope that that child can forgive him if he just takes accountability for his actions. So we'll know. That's here nor there. But ladies and gentlemen, this is this month's men's round. Shout out to the fellas that didn't make it. We still love y'all. Now we're getting into some topics that were suggested by a near friend of the show. Shout out to Successful Talk Podcast. A really good lady. She's a really good friend. She DM'd me these questions. So me and Jug gonna talk about them. So, why do some men fake their entire personality when dating? Why do you think some men out there do that? Not saying we do it, but why do some men do that?
I think it's imposter syndrome, right? You watch social media, you watch TV, you play video games, you're on your phone all the time, and you sort of get presented with this toxic masculinity, super hypersexualized macho man like that ravages women and stuff like that. And so you got to have a certain body type. You have to wear certain clothes, drive certain cars. There's all these metrics, right, by material things that you're supposed to have. And sometimes we're not confident in ourselves, knowing who we are as men, and we're not comfortable being ourselves because we haven't had conversations with ourselves. We haven't done the mental health work on ourselves. We're not in a great emotional space. We don't know how to properly express our emotions. Some of us are not literate. Some of us don't read and don't have mentors in our lives. And so I think we get in front of, people that we're attracted in front of, and we try to put up this facade of what we think they might like, when instead you should just be your genuine self. So that way she can make a decision as to whether she wants to continue to date you or deal with you. And
Yeah,
it's easier said than done. It does require some maturity, and you need to have people in your corner that care about you, who's going to tell you the truth about that. But I feel like,
exactly.
again, men have a hard time, not all men, obviously. I'm not talking about every single guy. But I think a big enough, significant portion of the male population doesn't know how to tap into their emotions properly, doesn't have a way to channel that. And I think that really kind of plays out into that question that the lady from that podcast asked. That's what I think. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people they fake it till they make it just to fit in, just to say they have somebody instead of doing the shadow work and also doing the work on themselves. And a lot of times people they be rushing into situations, so that's why they'll put up this facade of who they really are, but then just to get the person in the door. But then you find out years later that or months later that there's more to it. There's more. It's like a car salesman because they will say whatever they can to get you in the door, and
Of
then
course.
once they have you, they smack you with everything else that they didn't show in the beginning. But and to those men, I'll say you gotta be real with yourself from the beginning. Then you'll have better results. And if you gotta fake it to be with somebody, that's not the person for you because there's gonna come a day you're gonna get tired of faking it. And also, if you gotta fake it to keep them, that's not the person for you because you shouldn't have to do
It's
all
not.
that.
And, some of it comes with experience. And I think we're so busy following people, watching other people. You have to exit social media so you can know who you are. Learn yourself. Learn what you like. Learn what you really don't like. Detox. Be healthy. Read. Like, there's so many activities that we don't do because we either have to work too much or we're on social media all the time, that we really don't develop full personalities. And so, again, the imposter syndrome that both you and I are talking about takes place when you date somebody. You get nervous. It's like, oh, I'm going to give them this because this is popular. No, you give them you. And if they don't like that, then work on yourself or keep it moving.
Yeah. You have to work on yourself and keep it moving. Now I feel like that her next question. I feel like we know the answer to this, but do men who fake their personality actually believe they're good partners? Some of them do. Some of them really do, and those are your narcissistic men. Because if you got to fake it till you make it, you're not a good partner.
Yeah, so there's a lot of infidelities, and there's people, and then people change. Like even when you get married, you know, people change over time. People change their needs, their desires, what they like and what they don't like changes as you get older. So like you have to be mindful of that when you're in a relationship, and then if you're in a relationship with a person that happens to have kids or something like that, you may not be the focal point because you can't be. You know what I'm saying? Because they have people that they're trying to raise. They're trying to raise younger humans. So there's a lot of factors to that. A lot of guys think that they're doing themselves as a service by doing that, but they're really not, and they're finding out the hard way. And I hear all the time, how trash the dating scene is, you know, how bad it is on both sides. And I would just tell people, are you truly in the healthiest place? Are you truly ready to do that and to be selfless and to really be able to, compromise with that other person and be ready to love that person, through whatever their shortcomings are or whatever. People say that they want that because they desire and we need companionship, but they may not be ready for that. A lot of people not ready.
Yeah, they say they want it, but they want it in the form of the person that they like. That's the thing, because the sometimes you're ready for it when you. I'm not saying don't accept just anybody, but a person can be genuine cool, but if they're not a certain type of person that's within that you
Yeah.
like or that's in your comfort zone, you're gonna ignore them for the person that you know ain't shit, and that they know that you're incapable of doing the things you want need to be done.
And and really, when you think about it, all that energy and time you waste not being yourself, you get further away from who you really are. So then you're just digging yourself a deeper hole, that you may or may not ever get out of. Don't waste time. Time is precious. We could be here today and we could be gone tomorrow. God
Yes.
forbid, but I mean, it happens. I mean, you got shootings at school, shootings in the neighborhood, you got the police, there's guns everywhere. Like, I think people really need to take stock of what really matters. I think we did some of that during the pandemic, in 2020. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
got laid off, but they couldn't work, and people realized what was really important. And I think we're starting to get away from that again because as we move further and further away from that, right? Well, I think we need to understand that our families matter, our
Yes.
lives matter, the way you feel matters. If you don't know how to process that, Vic, we this has been a recurring theme ever since we had the men's only.
Mm-hmm.
If you need help, they have 1-800 lines. You could just Google it. That's a starting
Yeah.
place. There's no excuse. I think there's a BetterHelp or something like that. They have free therapy services. Like you could get a trial run, even if it's just one session. That one session could talk somebody off the ledge.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
got to. Yeah, and I know we talked about this millions of times, and we're gonna keep talking about it until the time falls off, because everything we cover circles around that mental health and part of being a well-rounded person, and so that way you can get around people and be yourself and
yep.
not have to fake it for anybody. And it's like, and her last question was, what questions can we ask of a person to figure out whether they're faking it or not? I would say ask the tough questions. Ask the questions that you're afraid to ask. Ask the uncomfortable questions. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people, they don't do that on the first dates. First dates, we just being so vanilla, so fill each other out. No, no, let's go pound for pound like a fucking heavyweight fight, and let's really get down to the bottom of what the hell we want in life and where we're at
Bro,
and what do we need.
I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but I'll just throw out some. Do you get tested on a regular basis? Do you have any kids? Does anybody think that they're in a relationship with you? Have you ever committed violence? Have you ever been with another man? Like, has to the women? Have you ever been with another woman? Like, have you? What is your faith system? Do you have a faith system? If you don't have a safe faith system, why not? Do you believe in gun rights? Do you vote? Do you know how to cook? Do you have any domestic capabilities? What is it that you're looking for out of this relationship? What are you looking for by dating me? Is it just for fun? Is it just for sex? Is it long term? Am I just a placeholder? Am I a rebound? Like, just ask. People say there's not good conversation when they date. I hear that a lot from people I know that are single. And it's because we're not asking those tough, interesting questions in the front. Stop wasting your time. I know people that
Yes.
date just to date. If you're not dating with the intent, and again, you could call me old fashioned, you call me old head, I'm bald or whatever. You can call me old. I don't care. I'm comfortable with who I am, right? If you're not dating for long term to moving towards marriage, then you're really honestly wasting your time. This whole
You
thing where
really
like
are.
people having kids with other people, they're not married, and so it just makes things much more difficult. You have your own this, I have my own that. We're so individualized. You got to step all the way out there and be willing to go through good and bad with the person. And that
And
only
that
what happens by having consistent, deep conversations, asking tough questions. If you see a yellow flag, question it. If you see a red flag, stop. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people blowing past a red flag at 200 miles per hour like they're on the Autobahn in Germany. Stop blowing past the red flags.
yes.
It'll
Stop.
save you a lot of headache and time. You cannot get,
Hmm.
unless God changes the way he does things, you can't get time back, right? Once you spent your time on something, you spent your time on it. So just be very intentional. If you don't know how to date, there's books. Seek out people that have been married for a long time, that are in peaceful relationships. I promise you, you'll learn something. People got to be humble. You got to be willing to listen. You got to be willing to learn and humble yourself. And a lot of people aren't in a position to do that. So that's just kind of
Yeah.
my.
Yeah, and also I feel like people need to add on what you're saying. I feel like people need to ask, like I say, ask the tough questions and really try to deep dive into where you're at and feel like what exactly do you need from a man or a woman right now. And also, and if you could tell someone's being phony, don't give them a pass. Just go ahead and cut them off because the one thing I've had to learn that sometimes I got to be the bad guy for my own sanity. Sometimes you got to be the bad guy. Sometimes you got to be like, because we're all a villain in somebody's story. If you feel like somebody being fake with you, just say to hell with them. Just like, hey, this ain't for me. Because in my dating experiences, I got more respect for the women that tell me, hey, this ain't for me, or you're just only good enough for your friend. I got more respect for them than the ones that will sit there, waste time, and waste months with you and stuff. And where you're spending time with somebody and you know this ain't going nowhere. That's how you. That's what really will show whether it's fake or not. Because if you spend time with somebody and you realize this ain't going nowhere, that's when you. That's the one sign you can tell it's fake, and that's why you gotta ask the tough questions on the first date.
And ask the tough questions at the beginning. Keep asking tough questions. Don't just ask on the first date. It has to be a consistent thing. Have serious, real conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Drill down to who the person is. Do you read? Are you patient with kids? What makes you tick? What makes you angry? What makes you happy? What hobbies do you have? Some
Mm-hmm.
people just literally go to work, smoke, barely wash their ass, and drink.
Damn. Pretty much.
I've
Yeah,
heard
and
from
also,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've
go ahead.
I've heard that and I've seen that from people. And also, you gotta ask them what their vision is, and ask them how can I incorporate myself to help you. What do you feel like you need from me to help you? Like, for example, if you're a singer, you tell me you're a singer artist, we're gonna be at all the concerts. Like, if I tell you I have a podcast, we're gonna be at all the podcasts and conferences. We're gonna be everywhere. Whatever
We,
you can do to support, you need to be in that person's corner. And if you can't do it, then don't date
I
them.
get it's two good questions. Where do you see yourself professionally? What would you like to do? Are you on that path? Are you going to school? Are you getting a trade? Are you getting a certification? Will you take a college course? What are you doing? Where do you want to be professionally? What is your passion? Then, what do you want personally? How Do you envision yourself being happy? A lot of times, people haven't even considered this. They're too busy doing this.
Mm-hmm. Too busy scrolling.
You know what I'm saying? You got to communicate with people. And so I think by asking those types of questions, and you could use Google as an actual resource.
Yeah, you can Google, you can use Chat GPT, do it all. Like, and also ask them where they want to go and do something where you guys can travel as well. Because if you get a person out of their element where they're comfortable, then the real them will show up.
Exactly. And there's just no purpose in not asking good questions. I'm sure there's thousands of YouTube videos, channels that talk about relational stuff. Like, there's a lot of resources at your disposal. If you actually care about being intentional with dating, you can do that. But a lot of people out here doing imposter syndrome. You know, a lot of people following the Andrew Tate method. I can't remember what the other guy who died.
Kevin
What was his name?
Samuels.
Kevin Samuels. Yeah, there you go. You know, these red pill, uh, disrespecting a woman to feel good about yourself.
No.
That's not a W. Never has been, never will be, no matter how much money gets poured into the opposite, right? That people have agendas for a reason. So,
They do.
you know, like I heard Andrew Tate, they're trying to get him extradited to the U.S. or whatever, you know, with the human trafficking stuff. And people are selling, you know, guys, red pill guys, incels. Think about it like this, right? And we've talked about this before. I've addressed this before, and I'll address it again, Vic.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the definition of an incel. Somebody who is waiting to be brainwashed to take their anger out on everybody because they feel like the women are objectively the women that they want, they can't get. They have no social skills. They're creeping, all that kind of stuff all the time. They don't have any depth. And we have to combat that by each one teach one. You see somebody struggling that's in your vicinity, hey man, you might not want to do that. Hey bro, you need some help with that? Hey man, you know, let's chop it up sometime. People so fearful of each other. Well, you're not going to develop anybody if you don't take a chance to meet people. I would challenge everybody to listen to this podcast. If you're living in an apartment or a condo, have you met your neighbors? I bet you haven't. It's a challenge for me too.
I mean, especially like for example, if your apartment complex got amenities like nice ass amenities, if they got a place to go play pool, or they got a gym, or they got a sauna, if they got a little clubhouse, go hang out there and meet some people. Go there, network. You just never know, you know. So just get out and meet people. Get out and do things to meet people, and there's events going on in your city. Show up to the events. You never know. Like I know Tampa Bay Black Heritage, they're doing some events next month or in the summertime. I'm definitely planning to show up and be at a few of them.
Bro, if you go on Eventbrite, like, and you just look up things to do with whatever city that you live in, there's so much going on. I think Facebook has events page, right? Facebook has an events page. People host events. There's so much going on. You have to get out and meet people. We're no longer in the pandemic, although, well, I'm not going to go down that road. You can get out and meet people, bro.
Yeah.
You
better get out while you can.
Getting out of your comfort zone. And you hear from both men and women, they don't want to leave the house. I get it. And I understand if you need to rest, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that want to meet somebody and expect them to be found nested deep inside of their apartment under a blanket. It's not going to happen. You need to actually talk to people. It takes work. But that work is an investment to meet the right person. Yes, you may run into people that don't mean well, or they're doing false equivalencies, or they're saying one thing and doing another. Just cut them off, right? Keep the toxicity down to a minimum. But just because some were toxic doesn't mean all of them are going to be toxic. So I just think, I feel like there's common sense answers to all of this stuff that constantly gets asked, you know, in the podcast space. And I'm in the podcast space too, you know what I'm saying? I got 2 different channels. So I get it, but like, there's still simple answers to this. People are missing the simple answers, going on these long 3-hour, you know, podcasts having these conversations and confessions and stuff, it's really simple. You gotta consistently get out of the house and talk to people if you're in a mental healthy space and you have at least a moderate amount of some disposable income. That's it.
Yes. It's so simple. It's definitely simple to do all that. And also, shout out to Successful Toy Podcast. You can hear me on her platform because we be on each other's platforms a lot. So I know Toy gonna be on the podcast sometime in May or at some point this summer. So shout out to her for asking us the questions. So ladies, listening to this, if you got any questions that you want us men to answer, they will get answered. And also to young men, if you want to hear from some OGs, like we ain't triple OGs, we're just OGs right now. You know, if you want to hear from us, we definitely here to help you out, man.
Absolutely. I'm always, I love when we get questions, bro. Like it shows people are listening in. Like I think we got to go back to get back to the IG lives. Again, where people can be able to come in live, and we get some of the men's only around that way. I remember we did that a couple times, and we had a lot of people show up and like
we do
and ask questions and stuff like that. So I think that would be great to do again when we get the opportunity. But listen, like again, we're humans. We have the ability to communicate with other people. We're social creatures. We're not meant to be completely isolated. I understand there are people that are quote unquote loners, but that's a learned trait. You can also learn how to date effectively, learn what it takes to be in a successful relationship, learn what it is to go out and have fun and meet different people from different walks of life. If you live near a major city hub, like, you know what I'm saying? For Vic and me, it's like Tampa area, right? Like, bro, like, I don't get on social media the way I used to. Like, I get on to see certain little things here and there and communicate with like family and friends. But like the last time I was on social media, like there was so many events. There's so many invitations to stuff.
Yeah, and also. And there's so many Facebook groups to join. Like there are some Facebook groups that actually get out and do shit. There are some that don't, the ones that don't do better, eventually at some point you gotta do better, but not say to anybody, but y'all know who y'all are. And shout out to the ones that do. I'll be at their field day this upcoming next week. One of these weekends they're doing a field day. Yeah, they're doing a field day. If you want to go, let me know. I'll shoot you the details and stuff.
I'm gonna be working most likely, but to take pictures and stuff and let me know what's popping. I always want to know what's going on.
All right, we'll do. And thank you, Juggy, for joining me on this month's men's round. Shout out to the fellas that couldn't make it. We're gonna give them grace, but those IG lives, we can bring that back up. It's not a thing to get that back started. So we'll plan it out and we can go ahead and make that happen. Yeah.
Yo, shout out to NO, New Orleans finest, Godfrey. I know he couldn't make it tonight. I just want to give a quick plug to his program. He's got a great sports podcast, 504 in the building. I've known this guy since before I was in college. So I've known him a long time, real stand-up guy. He's doing the social media thing. Definitely give him a follow. Vic, I'm sure you could put, when you put the video up, you could put his information to his channel in there. But Vic, I always appreciate you, man. You're always in my corner. I know sometimes I can't make it because I got stuff going on, but hey, man, we got the podcast chemistry going. Man, it's very few other things I'd rather do. So we're going to continue to do this thing and bring the people the truth and be there in the gap for other men.
Yes, we are. We're definitely gonna bring people the truth, and also shout out to Godfrey. He definitely got a great sports brand and stuff. He showed up for me in Baltimore last year, so I definitely appreciate him. So, and also I know me and him gonna hang out some more. We might go to Orlando to go hang out with him though. Just like
we are. We're gonna plan a trip to Orlando.
Yeah, we're gonna have to plan a trip to Orlando sometime when both of us ain't working like we're crazy. So the slide to Orlando, go hang out with him, and also go figure out where Don B at because I miss him. That's my dog. I miss him. So
bro,
I know he.
What happened to this man, bro?
Last thing I saw from him was he was running a business, man. I gotta tap back in with him, man, because he was holding it down with us for a while, but I understand he doing his thing now, so.
I get it. Hey, I'm always here for men's only round, no matter who's here, though. You already know that.
Yes, I already know. I'm here for it too. So, and any other male podcasters listening to this, bring y'all asses here. Y'all know y'all can get on and talk to the men as well, because we welcome all men's voices.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure, bro.
Hey, I appreciate you all, and thank you all for listening to the Liquor Talk podcast. Thank you for everybody that poured up with us. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and catch us on TikTok. Check us out, Liquor Talk Podcast, and JD for the W. I already know my dog getting ready for the WNBA season. So go ahead and check them out. Hey man, we're gonna have to fly to get on a flight and go to one of these WNBA games, man. We'll figure it out.
The W, baby. The W. Yo,
Yes.
we gonna catch a flight, bro. We gonna get our monies right. Nah. Wait till
I get my money right.
Although
all right,
Kanye
yes.
Lately, Kanye, but y'all get what I'm trying to do.
We're gonna pray for Kanye. We're gonna pray for Kanye.
Yeah. JD for the W, for WNBA and NCAA women's basketball content. Again, the women's game is the fastest growing segment of sports in the United States right now. And my other main channel, dang, I'm forgetting my own channel. Oh my gosh.
Book of Clarity.
The Book of Clarity on TikTok, Book of Clarity on YouTube. Listen, if y'all not paying attention to politics, you're about to hit you in your pockets, but we'll talk about that in the next round.
Yes, we do, because maybe next round we'll get to how China done hit the Uno reverse and done fucked everything up.
Oh my God, we ain't even touched that, bro. That's a whole other topic.
We'll talk about that next month. We'll definitely get that done next month. But shout out to the MBG Podcast Network and the Podmatch Podcast Network. More great episodes are coming. It's about to be a hot summer, so get your liquor poured up and keep tuning in with us. We got this thing, y'all. Peace.